morning, everyone. It's Kate Kalthoff. Welcome to a Stamping to Share video. This is a Stamp and Chat with Kay, and we're going to go over how to make a Wild Rose card with the To a Wild Rose bundle. I think my head is a little bit to the bottom of the screen. Let me see if I can adjust this just a tad. There we go. Hopefully that's a little better. I am going to announce the winner of the 3 projects that I was planning on. I kind of did a little poll on my Facebook group or my Facebook business page, which is to see which of these 3, I think it's called the Daisy Delight items that you guys like the best, and I'll do a Facebook Live on how to make it. So I'll announce that winner in a little bit. Good morning. Hello. It's so nice to see you. Julie's here from Kansas. Karen is here from Northeast Ohio. I love it when you guys tell me where you're from. Cindy Berghus, who's one of my downline from Spicer, Minnesota. Welcome. Kim Killeen is here from Minnesota. And we've got Karen. Welcome. You guys are already sharing. How sweet. And Pam is here from North Carolina. Welcome, everybody. It's so nice to have you here. I really appreciate you. I thought I would do 2 Facebook Lives this week. I was going to share both of the Wild Rose cards that I created, but it just didn't work out. I ended up getting a fever twice. I think all of the traveling and, sitting in planes and sitting in waiting rooms and all of that stuff just sort of caught up to me. The time zones caught up to me. Yeah, I got a little sick. So I am much better. Last night, in fact, yesterday afternoon, I was feeling great. Last night I was completely back to normal, so I knew today would be on. So it's great to be back and feeling great again. Hi, Lynn. Welcome. Hi, Rhonda. Welcome. You guys, the sharing is great because I'm going to do a giveaway on Monday morning, and I'm going to give away 2 things that I think you're going to like with each of the cards that I'm going to give away, and that is our faceted gemstones. I'm going to give away those really big ones from the silver faceted gemstones. And then, since we're using Seaside Spray, there's little gemstones called frosted and clear epoxy droplets. I'll give away some of those too. I'll give away the clear and the frosted, but I'll tell you what, the frosted is remarkable with the Seaside Spray. I think it's because it sort of looks like sea glass. It's so pretty. You guys have to check it out. I also feel like it's an embellishment that's kind of overlooked in our catalog, and so I'm going to share just a really stunning way to use it on this card. Welcome again. Connie's here. Karen's here. Oh, how nice to see you all. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to flip the camera down. I'll show you the card that we're working on. I've got a bunch of cards to share with you. Some of these I've already shared on my Facebook business page, but you haven't seen them in a video yet. So I'm excited to share all those in a video. So we've got lots to do today. So hope you have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and we're ready to get rolling here. So let me flip the camera down. Here is the card I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm still not feeling like I'm quite set up here. But here it is, and it's beautiful, and you can see just how gorgeous this frosted epoxy droplet looks with the Seaside Spray. I mean, it just looks like sea glass. It's so beautiful. And then how often can you use one of these great big, huge faceted gems from Stampin' Up? This is a silver. They also come in gold. I mean, this flower, this wild rose flower, is just the perfect place to use it. So it's so much fun. So anyway, like I said, I'll be sharing that card. But before I do all of that, let's do a little housekeeping. I have a new gift with purchase because we just started a new month here. It's August 2nd today. And so with a $75 gift or $75 product purchase from Stampin' Up through my online store using the August code. Well, actually, I shouldn't say August code because I put different codes up depending. But using a host code that you can find on my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com, or here's the one through August 20th, you can get the Perennial Essence Floral Centers. These look great with the daisy punch outs. And a week from today, or possibly 6 days from today on Thursday, I'm not sure which day, I will be doing a Facebook Live, and we'll be using some of these, and we'll also be making that well, I'll tell you about it in a minute. We'll be making I'll tell you in a minute. I'll announce the winner in a minute. So anyway, just wanted to cover that. So let me put all of this away. And then I also want to talk about the fact that right now is such a great time to become a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Because we have our extra promotion. It is a $99 starter kit where you get to pick $155 worth of products. So that's $30 more than normal, you guys. And then in addition, you get 20% off all future purchases on your Stampin' Up! Goodies. And honestly, with the holidays coming up and the amazing Stampin' Up! Holiday catalog that's going to be debuting in a month, I don't think you're going to have any trouble finding things to purchase from Stampin' Up! For the next couple of months. It's amazing. It's amazing. The other cool thing is for new demonstrators, not only do they get this really good deal, but during the month of August, new demonstrators or people who sign up for the starter kit get to put holiday items into their starter kit if they want to. It's a great deal. And then finally, August 1st through August 31st, you can redeem those bonus days coupons that you got. How exciting is that? So for some of you that placed orders in July, and you know who you are, you got bonus days coupons, and some of you got a bunch of them. And so just be sure to grab those codes and use them by the end of August. All right, so let's look at some fun cards that I got from downline and customers over the last month or so. This one is from my downline member, Dawn Michaels, and she made this beautiful card, and it's with the stamp, what is it called now? I think it's some kind of I can't remember, you guys. It's an artsy one. If anyone can remember this, I'd so love to have you help me out. But it's made with the paper and the stamps that are all about crafting. So if you open it up, look at there, you've got all these fun little crafty tools, and then you have a decorated inside panel, and it's kind of got a fun fold. I love that, and so it's really cute. Oh, goodness, I honestly cannot remember the name of this bundle. So I'll set this aside. Maybe Pam has it. Follow Your Art. Thank you, Pam Simmons. Yay! She remembered the name of the product suite. Follow Your Art. All right, thank you so much. The next one, I remember the name of this one, and it is called Over the Moon. And one of my Facebook Live followers sent this card to me. So thank you, Joanne Lambrecht. I love it. She even did the extra step of putting some like champagne shimmer mist with some alcohol into a spritzer, and she actually shimmered this so it looks like moonlight. How fun is that? She's got the little cow here. It says Dream Big, and then it's got one of those fun epoxy hearts put over a little colored red heart. So Dreaming Big, love it. And she also decorated the inside of the card for me, and I just love it. It's so cute. It's going right into my displays. So thank you so much, Joanne. And coming up, another downline member sent me this card. This is from Janine Knipple, and she actually is celebrating her 1-year Stampiversary as a downline member in my group. And so she sent me this really pretty thank you card. And I love it. It uses the Painted Harvest stamp set. And then, of course, you can see here, this is the tufted background. So, and she added a few little sequins. I mean, it's just so pretty and sparkly. And I love seeing the Painted Harvest in a little bit different colors. So thank you again, Janine. And then I have a very happy customer who loves to send out cards. So thank you so much, Elaine Wheeler. So she used some retired products that we have, but of course they're not retired in that you can use them forever. But it's just lovely. This is from the old butterfly thinlits that we used to have, and some paper that we used to have, some 6x6 paper that was very realistic looking. And she actually kind of cased one of the cards that I did probably 2.5 years ago already. So just love this. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Elaine. And then a downline member card. This one is from Dawn Chase. She's one of my downline members in Wisconsin. She sent me this beautiful card that uses the Bird Ballad product suite, and I love how she did a cutout of the overlay. The overlay is Flirty Flamingo. She's got some little cute, she's got a cutout branch here and some really pretty flowers, and it's a thank you card. She did a little bit of blends, and then she also used the Free as a Bird stamp set and stamped the bird and colored again with some blends the way it looks. And it's just so pretty. She decorated the inside as well, and I love it. And it just means so much to me. Thank you so much, Dawn. All right, and the next card, let's see, who is this one from? This one is from a really good customer here in Minnesota. She's one of my online customers. Rosemary Johnson created this great masculine card for me that uses the Geared Up Garage. So there's a stamp set and a coordinating set of framelits. And this is some paper that we sold during the Occasions catalog period this spring. And it's great. I love it. And you can really use this one for anything. It could be a graduation, it could be a birthday celebration, whatever is happening with the man in your life, and if you're celebrating something about it, this is a great card to give away. So wanted to share that. And what's really cool too is she decorated the back flap of her envelope, which I think is just a really nice touch. And finally, I have another card, and this is from a fellow Stampin' Up demonstrator. I got this card shortly after getting back from the trip, and this was one of my table mates, Sandy Hancock from California, and I have been good friends since we attended Founders Circles back when Stampin' Up was still doing those. And she sent me this cute over-the-moon card. She sponged little clouds in the background, and she says, "You're utterly fantastic," and it's just a lovely card. She has the stitched rectangles back here as part of her, that's what her image is stamped on. So it looks really nice, and it just pops with that buffalo check back here as well. So much fun. I'm going to bring this card up just a tiny bit closer because I want you guys to see the really subtle clouds that she did. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. Isn't that lovely? All right, so let's see. What do we got next on our agenda? Yes, I am going to show you. Yesterday, I posted this picture from our Stampin' Up catalog. You can find it on page 97. And I just was doing it kind of as a, hi, happy August, because it was August 1st, and I thought, you know, this is really pretty. And all of these flowers, we can do flower cards year-round, of course, but it's, I mean, in Minnesota, we have so many blooming wildflowers, really, all through late summer and into fall. So I wanted to post this and see which of the 3 cards was your favorite. And so we had, I think when I last checked, we had 53 comments. And of course, some people liked them all and couldn't decide. And then a lot of people would pick, you know, the box or this card or that card. Well, I have to say, I don't do a lot of 3D, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to buck up. Whichever one they pick, I'm going to try to recreate it. I'm sure I'll modify it a little bit, but I'm going to try to recreate it for you. And so the winner by about 5 points was the box. So I'm going to bring this up so you can see. Here it is. We've got our box, and I'm going to make this box for you on one of my upcoming Facebook Lives. And so that'll probably be in about a week. So I already experimented. The box was actually pretty easy to make, so it's going to be a fun one to do. It wasn't as overwhelming as I was afraid it would be. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the card that we're making here. So here is the bundle, and this is a new bundle in our catalog, and it's called To a Wild Rose. I have to tell you a little story. We have lots and lots of wild roses in the road ditches, and along the edge of the forest land in the area where I grew up. And so I have lots of memories of wild roses when I was a kid, and they actually have, let me find it, the little inside of the wild rose actually has a really fuzzy center. So they almost have something that looks like this that you'll see as part of our Perennial Essence Floral Centers. And then in the fall, after the rose has gone away, there's something really cool that happens when all the petals fall off. Through the late summer and into fall, you get a bigger and bigger berry. It's called a rose hip. And when I would go deer hunting with my dad, of course, half the time I just was along to be with him, I would take along a little box and we'd be sitting there, and of course I'd be kind of bored, you know, waiting for the deer to come. And so then oftentimes there was lots of wild roses in the area. So I would go and I'd pick all the rose hips, as many as I could find, and I'd put them in this little container that I'd bring along. And then I'd go home, I'd let them dry out a little while. And then like in November, I would string them onto thread. And then I'd have rose hip necklaces. So that was something I always did in the fall. So I did this, I probably started doing this when I was about 11 or 12, and I did it until I actually shot my first deer, when I actually had to start paying attention to hunting. So I think that was around 14. So anyway, yeah, for several years, my rose hip, I had a really lovely, lots of lovely rose hip necklaces that I would collect when I was out deer hunting. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this card. Enough of those silly stories, but I thought you guys would like that. So this stamp set is actually kind of special. All right, so here we go. Let me show you what we are doing. And we're going to be using the Stamparatus, you guys, a lot, so be prepared. Because when you are doing two-step stamping, Stamparatus, and you're trying to make a whole bunch of cards, Stamparatus is really important. So we're going to start with a card base that's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2. And this is Seaside Spray, one of our new in colors. Then, because I already have my roses set up on the Stamparatus, I did go ahead and do this in advance. What I did is I put my rose on a block D, just the outline part of the rose, and then I used the Seaside Spray, and I just randomly, well, not really that randomly, but I started by stamping a rose just offset from the center, a little more to the right. And then I stamped one up here, one down here, one here, one here. So I could have a kind of a background of, you know, the Seaside Spray ink on the Seaside Spray cardstock. Then what I did is to just bring a little bit of that inside look into the, or bring a little bit of the outside look into the inside of the card. I just stamped it off on the inside. So just those two spots. So that's what I did in advance to prepare the card base. So now I'm going to set the card base aside because the next thing is some stamping work that we need to do. So let me grab all of these. So on the card, I have 2 of these cut in case I screw up, but we've got 2, we don't need 2, we just need 1. We need a little square or a little rectangle of paper. This is 3/4 inches by 1 1/2 inches. And I'm going to use a mat here. And then we're going to use our basic gray ink. And then I've got my little hello already, and this is just on a block B. And I'm just going to stamp the hello right here. Pull that off, and we're going to put the basic gray over here. And then just to give this a little bit of interest, because it kind of looks boring, just a little, you know, kind of just looks a little boring. It's just too rectangular for me. So we're going to take a 1/2 inch circle punch, and all you have to do is go in and just snip each corner just a little tiny bit off each corner with the 1/2 inch circle punch. And then you get a sentiment that looks a lot cooler. There's a little more interest to it, and it makes it look a lot more fun. All right, so we're going to set that aside because that is done. Then, so that's one little bit of stamping that we've completed. Now we need to do our rose and our leaves. So I'm going to work on the leaves first, and I'm just going to start with a 4-inch square of Whisper White paper. And then I'm going to bring my Stamparatus into the picture, and let me share with you the ink colors that we're using. So we are going to use Garden Green as our outline image. Then we are going to use Granny Apple Green for the, I guess it's a little bit, it's not the all over shading, but it's sort of that secondary shading. So there we go. And then the very last ink that we'll be using is Pear Pizzazz for the all over shaded green. So I'll open that up. So we're going to start, the first one that we're going to use is the outline leaf, and that is right here. So I'm going to set that on my Stamparatus. So that's going to stamp right here. And how do I have this set up? Well, hold on, I'll show you. Here's the base of the Stamparatus. Then I have the foam mat, which I think is actually a separate purchase from your Stamparatus. So I have that down. Then I have, and this is also a separate purchase, just the grid paper. I just like to keep that there, just kind of protects things. And then the main thing you want to remember is every time you're doing a new image with these 2 and 3 step stamping, just want to make sure it gets back there in the corner every single time. And I've got my magnet to just double check to make sure everything stays where it's supposed to stay. Then I'm going to, I've got another tip for you guys. I don't know how come it took me so long to figure this out, but let me show you some, let me move this out of the way. I'm going to share something else with you. Hold on. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to move all those out of the way. So I know many of you know that I use chamois from Stampin' Up, the simple chamois, and I have 2 of them in a wood mount case. I found that the wood mount cases actually seal better. They like don't let as much air in, so they don't dry out as quickly, because I usually wash them out about once a week. But one thing I want to show you that I did, it seals so good I can barely get it open. I actually took one of my chamois and I cut it in half, and then I cut the other half in half, and I discovered that having a 1/4 chamois is wonderfully handy for using with your Stamparatus. So I'm going to take this out and leave it right there where I can have it nice and handy. All right, back to the Stamparatus. Okay, here we go. So what we want to do next is we're going to take the, I'm going to put this at the side so you can see it really well. I'm going to take my mat and put this back here so I have a level surface for inking up, because if you have a nice level surface, then you don't get so much ink all over everywhere. So we're going to ink up that outline leaf, and we're just going to stamp that down, and that was done with Garden Green. Let me move this and let me redo it. That's the really great thing about a Stamparatus is you can restamp. Press that down. There we go. All right, that is done. So now the magic of the Stamparatus, I already have this lined up. I'm going to flip this around, and now I'm using, hold on, I want to take my little chamois because I don't want ink all over my pad here. Just going to wipe this off quick. Now, if I was doing multiples of these, I would have a piece of scrap paper here and I wouldn't be worried about it, but, you know, I'm just making one to show you guys how to do it. So then I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green, and using the leaf that doesn't quite fill it all in, I'm just going to ink up with Granny Apple Green, and again, we're going to do a little stamp. Perfect. And again, I'm just double checking to make sure that still stays in the corner, and it did. So again, I'll just wipe this off. And now I'll take this plate out, and then of course with your Stamparatus, you get a second set of plates. And I've got my other leaf here, and that's the one that kind of fills in everywhere. So that's your shading one. So I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz, and again, ink that up with Pear Pizzazz and then bring it down. And it's done. So it looks really dark now, but trust me, once it dries, it does, the shading kind of comes out and it will look different. So let me show you what you can do when you are using a 4-inch square. You can create leaves on each of the 4 squares like that. And then what you can do is take your, so for example, I would do 2 of these, so I would have 4 in each set of squares. Then I can put them over the top of each other because they're the same size. They're 4 inches by 4 inches. I can go to my die cutting machine, and using the leaf die cut, I can line it up over the top, and because I use the Stamparatus, I can cut 2 leaves at a time. So if you're making multiple projects, like think about this for Christmas time when you have to make, say, 100 Christmas cards. If you do kind of a square like this and just go around the square, then, whoops, I should have had it like this. And of course, this would be identical. And then when you go to the Big Shot machine, because you're using Whisper White and it's a fairly light paper, you can cut out 2 sets of leaves at the same time. And it saves a tremendous amount of time. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. And now I'm going to show you how to do the wild rose. So give me a second here. So now I'm just going to flip this around again. And let me grab my paper. So now for this one, we're going to do, well, I would do 2 wild roses if I were doing multiples, but I'm just going to stamp 1. But it's kind of the same concept. Oh, I forgot to tell you the size. So for those of you that, you know, really like sizes, this, you could just use Whisper White scrap paper. However, I am using a 3 3/4 inch by 6.5 inch piece of paper because technically, if I were doing a bunch of these, I'd want to stamp 2 roses on this. And because I did this for my demo meeting swap card, I did do quite a few of these. All right, so now I'm going to put all these green inks away because we don't need them anymore. I did do some leaves in advance for assembly. So let me grab the ink we do need. So the flowers are going to be in Basic Gray, which I already have out. They are going to be in Daffodil Delight. That's going to be kind of that next level up. And then the all over color is going to be So Saffron. So I'll show you how all that goes together here. So as I mentioned, I already have my little rose ready to go. So we're inking it up with the Basic Gray, and this is the outline part. So give that a stamp. And then, did you know you can buy additional Stamparatus plates? So I, of course, did that, so I would have some extras. So I have an extra set of plates, so that's what I'm going to use for my next stamping. So I got my roses set up. And what I'm going to do now is, this is the one that just sort of, I don't know, it does a little bit of a fill-in. It's not a complete shade, but it's your accent shade. So I'm going to take the Daffodil Delight. I'm going to move this magnet down a little bit. So that's the next stamp, and that's Daffodil Delight. Then, of course, I'm going to clean this. Like I said, if I weren't doing just one at a time here, I would just throw scrap paper down and I'd just be going to town, and I wouldn't really worry about cleaning my ink. But I don't want to get ink on a project I'm doing on a Facebook Live. So here we have So Saffron. This is our all over color, so I'm going to ink it now with the So Saffron. And just, you know, double check. Sometimes it wiggles just a little bit, so double check that it's always going back into that corner. And there we go. Perfect, perfectly aligned and beautiful, and there it is. So now let me show you. You could do you can do this once here and then flip the paper around and once again, and then of course this is another time-saving tip. Just like with the leaves, put these together and you can set up just one and then run it through the Big Shot machine. Again, this is a lighter weight paper, so you can cut 2 at a time pretty easily as long as you're using the Whisper White. All right, so there we go with that one. Let me just clean this real quick. Okay, so why am I cleaning so much? It's not because I'm obsessive, but you should have seen me before the Facebook Live when I was preparing. I had ink everywhere. I had to spend 5 minutes washing my hands with dish soap to get all the ink off. I was a mess. So that's why I came up with doing one of these in a quarter, because I was like, oh my Lord, I was a mess. And so was all of my supplies. All right, then the other thing that you're going to need before we start assembling this card is, again, you've got this beautiful accent as part of your die setup. And we're just going to cut that out of a piece of our Diamond Dazzle glimmer paper. And so it's 1 3/4 inches by 5 1/4. That's how I cut it down to. And then of course run it through any die cutting machine, and you should get something that looks like this. So let me again put these ink pads away, get them all out of the way, and then we'll start assembling this card, because now this is where kind of the fun stuff comes. All right, so for those of you that are fairly new here and haven't actually liked my Facebook business page, I would so appreciate it if you would do that for me. If you enjoy the videos that I do or you like what you see, just give my Facebook page a like. And the same is, I'm going to put this video on YouTube. And so if you like what you're seeing here on YouTube, please go ahead. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And it helps people who don't know about me kind of find me. Or gives them a chance to find me, I should say. So I really appreciate it. I also love it when you share. And if you do share this video, be sure to let me know, because then I'll make sure you're in the drawing. So what am I doing now? I am putting on some multi-purpose liquid glue onto this panel of glimmer paper. And these flowers are pretty big. I tell you what though, I need to make this glue come out a little faster. The flowers are pretty big, so I don't really have any problems putting the glue on, other than the fact that I forgot to start the glue before the video, so of course it's being a little pokey. So why do I need to start glue? Somebody says, well, when I take the glue off, it just all comes out no problem. It's because I'm so lazy. I take the cap off, because when I'm doing a lot of gluing, I don't like to sit there and take the cap on, take the cap off, take the cap on, take the cap off. So I keep the cap off at all times and then just keep it in a little glue bottle on my desk. All right, so that's why sometimes the end dries up and I have to restart it. All right, so I got my glue on, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up about a 1/2 inch from the bottom, and I'm pretty much just centering this in, maybe a tad bit tighter to the right than to the left. And it's down. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take, oh, please let me say I have them. Okay, I do. Hold on. I did pre-cut some flowers and leaves here. So what we're going to do is we've got our leaves, and again, I just cut these both at the same time. It was great on my die cutting machine. And I've got a scissors because one of these leaves I'm going to take off. So I'm going to take off this one right here, because we're going to put that one somewhere else. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out how I want this on my card. And because I'm doing multiples, I'm just going to do it the same way every time. So I'm going to take the one that's a little bit cut off, and look how nicely this leaf right here lines up with this little one right here. So I can just line that up. And doesn't that look pretty? So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to grab my Scotch tape, and we're just going to tape that down because I like where that looks. Then we're going to take the other one, and we're just going to set it kind of diagonally from it. And so I'm just going to put that on kind of like this. That looks pretty good. I like how this leaf is kind of just tucked in a little bit here. So I'm going to flip it over again, get my Scotch tape ready. we're just going to tape that one down. And I'm not worried about getting it really super well taped because we're going to be putting this all on with dimensionals. Then I have the little leaf that I cut off, and we're just going to add that one, I think, about right here, just to give it a little bit more interest. There's a lot of leaves on wild roses. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but if you ever see wild roses out in the road ditches or someplace like that, there's just loads of greenery. All right, so there we go. There's our other leaf. So now we can put this on our card. So again, we're going to use some dimensionals, and we'll just pop these on. And this is why I wasn't really too worried about getting the Scotch tape just right, because it's all going down with dimensionals anyway. So it's definitely going to stay in place. Yes, I know, I'm putting a lot of dimensionals on. And someone says they really like the gray outline of the wild roses that I created with the yellow inks. I do too. You know, when I first tried it, I tried to do it with like a crushed curry as the base outline. And I tell you what, Cynthia, I think you're the one that mentioned that. It just did not look that good. So I thought I need more definition. I love things that look really defined. And so then I found the gray ink and tried it with that, and it works so much better. All right, and Laura is telling me she loves the Dazzle Glimmer paper and she saves every scrap. I kind of do too. You can do a lot. Even the little strips of Dazzle paper can be used as an accent on the inside of your card, which would really look cute. Now, because I had this leaf kind of floating out here and it was a little bit small to put a big dimensional on, I just grabbed a mini dimensional. I keep those very handy on my desk because sometimes they're just what you need for a little spot like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hold this up here, and we're just going to hoover it over until we think it looks pretty good. And I think that looks pretty good. All right, so the rose is down. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little hello that we created and our little notched rectangle that we created the notches of, again, we created the notches with the 1/2-inch circle punch. And I'm going to kind of set this here because I want it about right here. But because this is on dimensionals, I need to make sure that this dimensional that's going right there is double stacked. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to double stack a dimensional. Because we want, oh no, we don't want it double stacked on this side. We want it double stacked on the other side because that's going to be just a little bit higher than everything else. Sorry about that. I had my stacking sides mixed up, but we got it. So we put a double stack on the right and a single stack on the left because there's already a stack right there, or there's already a dimensional right there. So then we're just going to set this in. Oh, I suppose that looks pretty good. Do I want it down a little bit? No, I think that looks good. All right, so there we go. We have that sentiment on. And now for the finishing touches, I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. And let me show you. So this is going to be part of the giveaway on Monday. And I'll give away 2 cards. And I'll give away some, not a whole pack, but I'll give you a few of these really large faceted gems in silver. And then I'll split a pack of these with my winners. So you will get some of the clear dewdrops. Are they called dewdrops? No, they're droplets. So we have the clear, and then the ones that I'm crazy about using with the Seaside Spray are these frosted. So we've got clear and frosted. So I will split that up. So be sure you leave a comment or share the video. Let me know you shared, and that's how you get in the drawing. All right, so now I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. We're going to grab one of these really lovely and fun faceted dots. Set that right there in our rose. And then I have some that are already cut into little strips here. Whoops, there we go. And we're going to put 2 of these down. So I'm going to put 2 small ones down first. We've got a little small one right there. Whoops, and my other small one fell off. Let me grab it. We have another little small one that we're going to put way down over here. So we've got 2, just kind of one here and one here. And then we're going to add some medium-sized ones. So there'll be 5 total gemstones. You know, that odd number is always nice. So we're going to put one of the larger ones up here. And then we'll put another larger one right about here. And our card is done. Isn't it beautiful, you guys? So here is the other card. And like I said, I'll give these away on Monday along with the little giftie. So stay tuned to my Facebook page. Be sure to give it a like so you always get notifications of what's going on. You're always welcome to join my Happy Stampers Stamping to Share group. I'm going to start putting more frequent PDFs up there of how to make different cards. So here we go. Thank you again for joining me. It's great having you here, and I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.